What does it take to create a trading bot that wins more than 95% of the time? And can it really be done? So in this video, I'm going to take you inside the system, show you the secrets and the surprises behind those win rates, and reveal what it really means to build a bot that's almost unbeatable. But before we get into the mechanics, I want to ground this in some reality. So Sam Price, aka Crypto Lifer, is one of the most respected intraday live traders on YouTube. He trades publicly, he trades in real time, and he understands execution pressure better than almost anyone. Sam wasn't running a demo and he wasn't running a theoretical model. He was running our system with real capital. So let's hear what he has to say.
It's great. Look, it's a 95% win rate. 53 wins, 3 losses. The 3 losses are losses that I closed out myself. So this thing would be 100% had I never closed the position. Like recently in September, I closed an order to reset how aggressive I wanted the bot. Like it was making $297 a trade. I wanted to make up to $400 to $500 a trade. So I closed this order back here in September 19th. Now it scalped really well here. Look, in at 114, out at 116. In at 117, out at 120. In at 120, out at 122. In at 122, out at 124. In at 123, out at 125. 500, 500, 500, 500, 500, right? Just banging on them.
Now, a 95% win rate sounds impressive, but by itself, it doesn't actually tell you anything. The real question is, how is that possible without relying on prediction or luck? And the answer is structure. So let's break down the 5 principles that make results like this possible. Principle 1 is risk is controlled at the system level. So most people are sweating over every single trade like each one's some tiny little crisis. But here's the real problem. If you only watch one trade at a time, you're missing the bigger picture. And that's how accounts get wrecked, not from one bad trade, but from a series of little leaks that add up to a huge flood. Think about it like building a dam. If you only patch one crack at a time, you're doomed. You need a system that keeps the whole dam strong, and it's got to be all the time. And that's how you stop a flood before it starts. So our system, it's that dam. It doesn't just react to losses, it's built so drawdowns never get out of hand. Exposure is capped. Position size, it's preset. There's no single leak or even a few that can bring the whole thing down. And here's the best part. You don't even have to babysit every single trade. The system's guardrails mean you can focus on the big moves and not the little panic. So if you want to keep your account safe, stop obsessing over tiny loss. Build your risk controls into the system itself. That way, drawdowns become just another bump in a road and not an absolute disaster. Principle 2 is entries are opportunistic, not predictive. Most traders, they try to be fortune tellers, always trying to call the bottom or nail the top. And you can just take a look anytime on something like Twitter or Instagram just to see. But spoiler alert, they're all usually wrong. But our system, it doesn't work with crystal balls. It doesn't predict. We just wait. So imagine a professional athlete. They don't swing at every pitch. They wait for that perfect one. That's what we do. We let the market just come to us. When conditions are right, we enter with a base position. And if the market pushes back, we don't freak out. We add defensively and always on our terms. That's what we do. We wait for the market to give us the green light and those favorable conditions. And then we step in with the next position. And if the market tries to shake us, we don't panic. We add defensively because that's the architecture that we've built and it's always in control. Now, this flips the script on traditional trading. We're not here for instant glory. We're here for patience, for structure. And that's where the real rewards are. So forget trying to be right all the time. Just be patient, be strategic, and just let the market come to you. All right, now this next one's controversial, but it's also one of the big reasons we've scored so high on our win rate, as high as 95% as you've seen. Most traders, they cling to tight stop losses, yanking themselves out of trades at the worst possible moment. And it's like slamming the brakes in the middle of a highway pileup. Sure, you stop, but you're still in the mess. So principle number 3 is don't use hard stops because you're going to get hunted. So what we do instead is we use defensive scaling. And what does that mean? Well, when the market moves against us, we don't panic sell. We actually add carefully and in control. And we improve our average entry price and give the trade room to breathe. This lets us stay in the game much longer. It lets volatility do its thing and also resolve naturally without us getting kind of whipsawed out of the trade for no good reason. It's also extremely clever when you trade assets that are appreciating over the long term. And here's the kicker. That's a major reason why our win rates stay so high. We're not hiding risk. We're just managing it smarter. So next time you're tempted to hit that hard stop, remember, sometimes the best defense is staying in the game, not running for the exit. Now, principle 4 is exiting on strength, not chasing targets. Now, one of the most common mistakes traders make is believing that profits come from perfect exits. They wait, they hesitate, and then they hold on a little longer than they should have, hoping the market will just reward the patient. But more often than not, that hesitation is what turns a strong trade into an average one, or possibly even a loss. Robust systems, they don't chase perfection, they respond to strength. And when momentum appears, a well-designed system is able to recognize it and act decisively. It's going to lock in gains when the conditions are still favorable, rather than waiting for certainty that only arrives after the opportunity has passed. So the goal isn't to exit at the exact top, but to exit while the market is still offering the best conditions for you. And this is where algorithmic approaches separate themselves from regular trading bots, because most simple bots operate with fixed rules. They have static profit targets, they have hard exits, and the logic doesn't really adapt once it's live. They behave the same way in kind of every single environment, regardless of whether the market is trending, ranging, or accelerating. But an algorithmic system, on the other hand, by contrast, it can be trained to recognize different market regimes and then respond accordingly. So in trending environments, that means allowing exits to evolve with price action, staying engaged while momentum persists, and then protecting gains dynamically as the conditions change. Now, this kind of behavior isn't possible without a deeper adaptive framework, and it requires a system that has been designed, tested, and refined across different market environments, not just optimized for a single outcome. So the result is a structure that doesn't rely on prediction or perfect timing. It simply takes what the market is willing to give when it's willing to give it, and steps aside when that strength fades. And that's how consistency is built over time, not by chasing ideal exits, but by designing systems that can recognize and respond to strength in real market conditions. Principle number 5 is automation removes human error. So let's talk about the silent killer in trading, and that is human error for sure. It's not just about making a bad call, it's about hesitation, it's about second guessing, it's about letting emotions sneak in and rewrite your rules, one little exception at a time. And here's the truth, no matter how disciplined you think you are, humans, they crack under pressure. The market, it throws a curveball and suddenly you're tempted to override the plan just this once. And that's where automation changes everything. The system, it's not going to hesitate. It's not going to get nervous. It's not going to rewrite the rules on the fly. Every decision is executed exactly as designed every single time. Take Sam, for example. He followed the system to a T, except for one moment. He manually closed a trade. That tiny human intervention, it made all the difference. And it's not a criticism of Sam. It's just proof of how powerful automation really is. So when you let the machine run, the machine works. No drama, no emotion, just pure relentless discipline. And that's the edge most people never see coming. So when you look at this system end to end, the results stop feeling impressive and they start feeling inevitable. The win rate isn't coming from being clever. It isn't coming from market conditions lining up, and it isn't coming from taking on more risk. It comes from design, from a system that controls exposure before emotion ever enters the picture, from rules that execute the same way every time, from a machine that does exactly what it's built to do, whether the market is calm or chaotic. And that's why consistently shows up naturally, not as a goal, but as a consequence. Once execution is handled by a system, trading stops being about discipline or willpower. It becomes mechanical. And this isn't theoretical. The team behind the system that built this operates across Australia, the UK, and the United States. We work with hundreds of clients, and the same system you've seen here is deployed on 7-figure and multi-7-figure accounts in live trading conditions, which is important because systems don't break at small scale. They break when capital gets really large. And the fact that this approach continues to function at size increases the real proof. So at this point, the question isn't, does this work? It's simply, is this how I want my capital to be deployed? And if you want to see how the system actually runs, how trades are structured, how risk is enforced, and what it looks like in real use, the next step is really straightforward. Just use a link in the description and book a call with my team, just to walk through the system and decide whether this approach makes sense to you. All the links are below, so you can click on them and have a conversation with my team.